There is nothing that Donald Trump, Carolyn Leavitt, or anyone in this administration can do to cover up the president's very, very obvious cognitive and physical decline. Actually, whatever they do to try and cover up Donald Trump's obvious dementia, his inability to walk, his cankles, his bruised hands, only brings more attention to the obvious health crisis that he is in. And that is what we saw today during a fake Oval Office meeting, which was exposed for not actually happening in an effort to prop up Donald Trump weekend at Bernie style and pretend this guy who is falling asleep before our very eyes is awake at the wheel. He's not. And it just got exposed. The crisis is clear. We're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our channel. Now, before we get into this fake Trump meeting that was just exposed through a leaked image, I want to start with Lawrence O'Donnell, who is the only one in the mainstream media talking about Donald Trump's health struggles.
Well, if Donald Trump gets dementia, how will we know? Donald Trump's mental decline, which is more and more obvious, started from such a low level of mental processing power that it's hard to track his decline. It's from low to lower. And then there are days like today when Donald Trump asks himself out loud in public if he is allowed to appoint himself chair of the Federal Reserve. Now, it may be tiresome to hear, but we must not grow weary of making the point that no other president was ever capable of saying anything as stupid or as indicative of dementia as that. Am I allowed to appoint myself chair of the Federal Reserve? And we must not grow weary of reminding ourselves what the White House press corps would have done if Joe Biden ever said anything like that, and how big the headlines would be in the next day's print editions of the New York Times and the Washington Post and every newspaper in the country. Because if we grow weary of making the point of how singularly stupid and possibly clinically demented Donald Trump's statements are, then we will become part of the normalization process of those statements, which most of the American news media has unwittingly participated in. And 14-year-olds in this country will think it's perfectly normal for a president to say those things.
It's really just Lawrence O'Donnell at this point, isn't it? It is just him. He's the only one who has been talking about Epstein consistently, Donald Trump's cognitive decline, and almost more importantly than both of those things, the mainstream media's complete lack of coverage of either of them. You know, I always say this, it's not just enough to be an independent media outlet, to be doing stuff on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Substack. You also have to be working to not align yourself with the mainstream press, to not just do business as usual, to cover the stories that people don't want to talk about or are being stopped from talking about. And that is why every opportunity that the press gets, they should be asking about Donald Trump's health. Because when they do ask, Carolyn Leavitt gets very strange answers like this, which kind of illuminate why there was a fake meeting in the Oval Office today.
Why did President Trump get an MRI during his recent visit to Wall Street?
Look, as President Trump said, he would inquire with the physicians. I'll check back on that. But as the physical itself stated, Kristen, and as you all know, because you were all witness to it, every single day the president is in optimal physical health. This was a follow-up appointment, and we provided a detailed readout of that physical. I'm happy to give it to you again, and I can inquire further.
With all due respect, an MRI is a very specific procedure. It's done on a part of the body looking for something specific, so it's not generally part of any kind of routine checkup. And in addition, President Trump has said that he wants to be transparent. He told us to ask the doctors, which we have and have not heard back. Why don't we have more information on this?
As I said, I'll check back for you.
So we don't know why Donald Trump got an MRI. And we don't know why, at first, Carolyn Leavitt didn't tell us there was an MRI. Why wouldn't she tell us why there was an MRI? And why wouldn't she say that there was an MRI if it wasn't that important? It seems like if you won't tell us about it, and then you won't tell us why it happened, it's because it was important, especially because they do have those machines at the White House. So I think it must have been something deeper. More tests must have been run on, and on what? is the question. I think we can guess. Donald Trump's pudding brain, his cankles, his hands. I don't know. Any part of Trump that is completely shut down at this point. Man, we're praying it really shuts down a lot faster. But Donald Trump clearly needs people to pretend like he has a functioning brain and a functioning body, which is why Senator Markwayne Mullin put out this tweet, which is completely blown up in his face. Senator Markwayne Mullin wrote, "Working through the weekend with Donald Trump. It's always an honor to be in the Oval Office. I never take this opportunity to serve Oklahoma for granted." Journalist Aaron Parnas wrote, "Donald Trump was not in Washington, D.C. working with Markwayne Mullin at the time this was posted. Trump is in Palm Beach." Our good friend Ben Meiselas of Midas Touch also wrote, "Why lie? He's in Mar-a-Lago golfing and partying with the leader of Argentina, who we gave $40 billion to." Markwayne Mullin is lying. And it would have been really easy to write that tweet and say, always great working with Donald Trump, which I'm sure it's not. Always great serving our dear leader. Oh, Donald, I love you so much. I'm Markwayne Mullin. My state is 52nd in education somehow because we're too fucking stupid to be able to actually count correctly. That was a terrible accent. I don't know what I was doing there. It was like a cartoon character. But Markwayne Mullin is a cartoon character. It would have been very easy to just say that you had been working with Donald Trump or to fucking glaze him in front of his neck without saying that he was working through the weekend, because he's not working through the weekend. So why did they have to say that? Because they want MAGA to still believe that Donald Trump is a big, strong, tough guy. And not even that. They want them to believe that Donald Trump is alive. Which, when you look at him in the Oval Office and he's like, I don't know why I just did that. Like, a lot of people are going to see it. What am I doing? We're having too much fun today. But that's how Donald Trump looks. Don't take a screenshot of that. But they want you to believe that he's not like a puppet with Stephen Miller's tiny little weird hand up his butt directing the show, because that is what's happening. That message is for MAGA. They're saying, MAGA, don't look. Don't look when Donald Trump's sleeping in the Oval Office. Don't look when he can't walk down the stairs. The Sleepy Joe nickname guy is literally asleep all the time. And he has people walking him around. Markwayne Mullin wants you to believe that that guy is capable of being president. He's not. So he had to lie. He got caught. And Donald Trump is obviously in a health emergency. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to point out his weakness. They don't want to acknowledge his weakness. But I feel like now more than ever, we need to. Americans do perceive Donald Trump as getting weaker and weaker every day. Weaker and weaker, while he is taking greater lengths to deprive them of food, of health care, of housing. That's what he's focused on. So let's make that clear. And the person who is doing that, maybe stronger than anyone else, is Jasmine Crockett in this brutal takedown right here.
I'm gonna need y'all to keep it up. Y'all are not going to be allowed to feel tired because we got a lot of work to do. Now, I know that we have talked about November 4th and everybody was really excited about November 4th. We even saw historic wins in places like Mississippi and Georgia without them even having the investments. Let me tell you something, Texas, we can do this. We can do this. If you just make sure that you keep that song in your mind, that you feel no ways tired. So let's talk about where we came from, okay? I hate to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. So, as I said, as we did a rally in California right before Prop 50 passed, you know, our feeble little governor, now, he doesn't know how to answer the call of the people. In fact, he usually doesn't want to show up and talk to the people. But somehow, when that orange line rings, he knows how to pick up the phone and do whatever it is that he is told to do. Now, that's not what leadership looks like. Not at all. That is not what it looks like. But here's the thing. He decided that he was going to answer the call of the orange one and ignore the calls and the voices of the people of Texas. And so it makes me think about an actual verse. Psalm 30, and 5. It says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So weeping looks like leaders promoting hate. Weeping looks like Abbott being a lousy step and fetch it governor that puts tyranny over Texans. Weeping looks like taking food out of the mouths of seniors, babies, and making sure that after a court tells you to feed the people, you decide to appeal it. Weeping looks like taking away health care and not giving a damn. Weeping looks like wreaking havoc not only on our economy but also the East Wing. Weeping looks like terrorizing communities with ICE. But joy looks like our amazing Texas state reps. Joy looks like the wins that we had on November 4th throughout the entire country. Joy looks like restoring decency, dignity, and democracy. Joy looks like California passing Prop 50. And finally, joy looks like a man by the name of Gavin Newsom. Many of y'all may not know this. I said I was happy to be back home because I've been on the road fighting for Texans. I went to Pennsylvania to make sure that they retained their judges. I went to California to make sure I could do my part for Prop 50. I made sure that I went to Virginia on behalf of Abigail Spanberger. You see, winning means that we got to do the work. But more importantly, I told y'all joy comes in the morning. And so let me tell you about Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom could have sat on the sidelines, you see, because everything looks blue in California. But he decided that it was bigger than just his state. He decided that this was about the democracy of all of us. And frankly, he decided if you come for Texas, then I'ma come for you. Listen, it's been a while since we had leadership that had our backs.
This is how we have to message. We just got to embarrass this guy. Please, just embarrass him. It's what we're trying to do on this show every single day. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. I said this in the last video as well. Go give me a follow on Instagram at JD Cocchiarella. Also, give me a shout on Twitter. If you're a consistent watcher of the show, post a photo you watched the show. Hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to see that y'all are watching. Always makes me so excited when I see messages from y'all. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.